It's On the Aisle with me, Charles Gross, and Leslie Hoban Blake. Tonight, reviews of Cat, Jammer, and
Good evening, I am Charles Gross, and hello.
I am the aforementioned Leslie Hoban Blake, interrupting again.
Yes.
Sorry about that, John.
Well, tonight we come to you from the M&N Firehouse.
Uptown on 104th Street.
Yes.
It is an amazing building. We're in a studio about the size of a large closet, and it's really
Well,
quite
actually, in New York,
cozy.
it would be considered a studio apartment.
Absolutely, but
we were
it's
in New
very-
Jersey, it would be a closet.
very cozy.
Yes.
And we have a new engineer/director. His name is Roberto, and we're very happy to be here.
Yes, but it's a former firehouse. But is there any place to park? No. But that's New York.
And Charlie promised me a ride home.
Yes.
It's a real fur piece to get here.
Okay, so we're talking about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. This is the Tennessee Williams play that seems to come back to Broadway every so often. It is a classic. And this time it's back with Scarlett Johansson. And everyone was so excited, A, because Cat on a Hot Tin Roof's a great play, and Scarlett Johansson was just so wonderful in A View from a Bridge.
Yes, she really was wonderful in A View from the Bridge.
Yeah.
And everybody, myself included, thought, wow, she's hot and she's going to make such a sexy, wonderful
Maggie the Cat. And she comes on, and the first act of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof is all Maggie.
It should be
Basically,
all
it's an almost non-stop monologue, and she's talking, and she plows through it unrepentant. She goes like a bulldozer. The problem is, if a bulldozer has to go a really long distance, it's going to run out of gas because bulldozers don't get great mileage.
Well, it's also very boring. It's all of a piece. There was not, it was all the same kind of intensity all the way through. I mean, she is a sexy, sexy looking woman. Take another look at that.
But we kind of knew that already.
Yeah, and the really hot thing in the first act is Benjamin Walker, who plays Brick in a towel, which the New York Magazine review did nothing but talk about the towel. They talked about how it was folded, how it was pinned, how it didn't fall down, which tells you a great deal about what's wrong with this production.
That whoever was reviewing the show is probably gay.
Besides which, it's almost a given, but besides which, the point is that that's not what the act is about, and yet that's what everybody was talking about.
Well, no, I was noticing Scarlett Johansson. The problem was, I think you keep thinking, oh, that's Scarlett Johansson giving the performance. You're not drawn into it.
There wasn't a performance. She found a voice. I don't know how hard she worked to find a voice. Sort of a cross between, Kathleen Turner, very deep and dark, and
who did a previous revival, which I actually will get to later,
which was okay, and someone else who was not Kathleen Turner, but it wasn't Scarlett Johansson. It was a deep voice. It was sort of like this, and it was on a nasty edge, and then that was it all the way through. That's all she did.
And then there is this second act where you have
Big Daddy.
Clarion Hines is Big Daddy.
Kieran
Hines,
Irish name.
And again, this act is more, except that Brick gets to say a few lines in here.
Well, he talks to his dad. Yes,
talks to his dad. This is basically a father-son talking.
Absolutely.
It's basically the father wants to know what the wife kind of knows. Why haven't you had children? Why do you seem to be so unhappy? Why are you drinking so much?
Well, the first act they talk about Big Daddy the whole time because Big Daddy has cancer. You don't say the word, you whisper.
And the entire family here, including Brick's brother and his wife, and their no-neck kids.
Yes.
Goober.
Yes. Goober.
Goober. Yeah, what a name.
It's a very southern play.
Yeah.
But
well, it is Tennessee
and
Williams.
Kieran Hines is not, he's not physically, fat. He's tall.
No, but he doesn't have to be. He's still pretty big, and he really succeeds, in my opinion.
He does.
Where Johansson failed. He comes, he dominates, and he gives a wonderfully charged, nuanced performance.
It's layered.
You're not self-conscious.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Benjamin Walker is good, but he.
Deborah Monk is badly used, I thought. As
very,
Big Mama.
and that's disappointing because I recall Charles During, who was an incredible Big Daddy. That was the Kathleen Turner production. Maybe you weren't crazy about Kathleen. Charles During was incredible. Polly Holliday was the best Big Mama I've ever seen by far.
Maybe.
And Deborah Monk, whose play Pump Boys and Dionettes is coming back to Broadway.
Well,
maybe.
There's a maybe on that.
But that was her Broadway debut, and it is such a far journey that she has come. Tony from a dinette you know, where
Yeah.
she basically played drums on a kitchen cabinet, to a Tony Award-winning actress.
Right.
She's
But,
done so much.
Before we finish
and
on this,
here,
there's something I want to say about this, though, because everything was wrong. The direction, Rob Ashford is not the right director for this play. He didn't understand the play. He didn't know what was important about the play. His set design is a gigantic, enormous ceiling fans, but nobody's hot. Even Scarlett, who's supposed to be hot, Scarlett,
Cat on a Hot Tin Roof.
She's not fanning or something. Nothing. Elizabeth Ashley played this role in the 70s. The first time I ever saw it, and she blew me out of the water. That was one of those lifetime performances. She was Maggie. She's a Southern girl. She understood that role. This is just play acting, and it didn't work on any level for me. Nothing.
Well, except for Hines.
Except for Hines.
I
I'll
liked his
I'll
Big
give you
Daddy.
that.
Benjamin Walker, again, he kind of occasionally can get lost in the
Well.
sauce, but when his time comes, I think this is the first time I really
Right.
got a good idea of where Brick was coming from. He
fair enough.
made more of an impression, and quite frankly, now that I think about it, Brick doesn't make much of an impression
He
in general.
doesn't.
Because he
When-
spends the whole time reacting. First,
Ashley
will you
Judd-
let me finish?
No.
Thank you. Well, anyway, so that's the
Oh,
advantage of one camera.
Jeff came back.
Yeah, so
The ghost of Jeff is here.
anyway, I lost my place. Thank you very much. Anyway, so you
You
know
were talking
he
about
kind of
how
gets
the fact
lost in
that
the sauce
Brick is
because
this.
he gets generally if you've got a good Maggie, he's going to get run over by her in the first act. If you got a good Big Daddy, he's going to get run over by him. But he does hold his own, even if he occasionally.
I disagree.
Okay.
Jason Patrick did it with Ashley Judd, who's running for office now down in Kentucky, and he stood on
She
a
can
crutch.
join Al Franken.
He stood on a crutch the whole. They're different states. He stood on a crutch the whole time, and he looked off in the distance, and that was all he did. And I kept thinking he's watching television on some screen way down there. Well, we're not, And that was another bad production. And we can talk about all of these. 5, 6, 7 productions at least.
And the interesting thing is sometimes they're doing different versions. Like the
Yes,
Charles
that's
Durang
true.
version,
That's
you
true.
heard him in pain because of the
Yeah.
cancer at the end off stage.
Yeah.
Most of the productions don't have that, and I keep thinking, oh, well, was I imagining it because it's not here? And then I was doing a little research. Apparently, there were a couple of different
Well,
endings.
do you know why? It's not just the ending. It's the whole concept. The whole problem with this play is the undertone of the homosexuality, whether Brick is or is not. And because of the time in which it was written, people would say, "No, you can't say that. No, you can't say that." And then later, years later, he would doctor the script because then he said, "This is what it's really about." And so you have different versions of the script.
Yeah,
that
and
way.
to me, and you'll say, oh, you're just not getting it, or you don't want to. I'm not so. I still can see a scenario where Brick is not gay, but not able to be the type of friend that he wants. The whole thing about Brick is that he's lost a friend who absolutely was gay, and this friend was in love with him, and for whatever reason, Brick was not with him. Brick was with Maggie, even if Brick is not physically with Maggie.
They're playing
and the
that
bottom line, he ends up committing suicide, and that is what Brick is all
Yes, but
worked
they're
up
playing
about.
a very similar kind of thing out on Downton Abbey right now, in a different time period. Again, someone who wants to be a friend and can't go as far as the other person would like. It's not an unknown. Anyway, maybe that's enough about Cat on a Hot Tin Roof. Do we want to get some playbill?
Oh yeah, I'll.
Did you have something else you wanted to say? I certainly don't. I don't want to cut you off. God forbid.
Oh no, not at all.
Not
I feel
at all.
I'm
I
going
don't
to change
do it
my
on
name to
purpose.
Brick. Just
I don't get that at all. If you think about that,
because he just sits there and he doesn't get to say
I
anything.
see. There's so many other levels to that remark. That
Okay, well, I think maybe we'll move on.
So have we
we'll
got
move
enough
on
on
from
that?
that.
All right, so what are we
I
giving
think.
it?
Well, I never did get to say that I was disappointed with Deborah Munka's Big Mama.
You did.
I did. Okay. Well, I didn't
did.
get to. You don't let me finish.
You said
my
the
sentence.
Polly Holiday
Yes.
was the best one ever.
Well, she was.
Oh, I
she
didn't
was.
I didn't
And
disagree.
again, this is a very disappointing production, especially given who we have in here. I think everybody had very high hopes for Scarlett
Absolutely.
Johansson. We were rooting for you, Scarlett.
Absolutely.
But-
Disappointment. So,
Maybe you should be on Tara instead of
maybe.
instead of this plantation. I would say 2 3/4.
Oh, you're being kind.
I
I
am.
would say 1.5.
Ooh, boy!
It's just
oh boy.
it was wrong on so many levels.
Meow.
I'm sorry. Yo. Okay.
Okay.
Downstage hand.
The Jammer.
Oh, I love this play.
Really?
I did. I really
Really?
did. The Jammer. It is about something I did not know existed, and that is roller derby
Roller derby.
in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn.
Well,
I knew there was
they have
roller
it now.
derby, but I didn't know it was in Brooklyn, and it was in the 50s.
She just thought there was baseball in Brooklyn.
And in the 50s, and what they did in the lobby of the theater, which is the Atlantic Second Space over on 16th Street, they put up all sorts of newspaper articles about the real people who were doing this. It's a charming play. It's written by Roland Jones, who was a finalist for the Pulitzer for his incredible something of Jenny Chow. I don't want to go back and try to find that. Also directed by Jackson Gay, and the direction of the play is delightful. They hold up cartoon extras so that they talk to people who are actually made in cartoon. They make a motion of skating, and you actually believe that they're skating, that they're all in such precise, like a dance.
The Roller Derby, sponsored by Pluto Beer. When you've got a case of the oh no, not agains, grab a case of Pluto. Pluto Beer, the beer you can count on. Take it away, Bert Feinberg!
Bert Feinberg and Larry Calloway back with the live trackside at the Coney Island Armory with time running out of this 8th and final period of tonight's match between the Jersey City Johnnies and the Brooklyn Brown Devils. And if you've just tuned in, folks, too bad.
Come on, boys, let's get the skating one.
Words can't possibly encapsulate the back and forth, life and death, bombastic battle of interstate rivals, can they, Larry?
See you on the other side, cupcake.
Oh boy, energetic pivot skater knocked off the track as a tale told once too often tonight, skate fans. We're all locked in. 36-32. It's Brooklyn's match to lose with 1 minute, 40 seconds left on the clock.
Clear up the high bar. Where's the man, boys? Drive them down. Drive them down.
Brooklyn blockers trying to wedge the Johnnies to the bottom ramp. Brown Devils surely winning the battle of the pack tonight. Wouldn't you say, Larry?
Rookie coming up from the high. Can't see him. Watch it.
Whoa, Nelly skate fans. Here comes Jack Lovington. It's been that way, folks. Every time we sense a shadow swamping the Johnnies out like a bolt of lightning comes the demon coat jammer.
What's this guy? I don't know, but he sure is fast. Get him, Jackie boy.
Lovington's accounted for half the Johnnies' points tonight, sweeping in and out of every errant fist the Devils have thrown at him, begging the question, just how did this homegrown killer get away from the eyes of management? Larry! Larry doesn't know. I don't know either, but someone up in the Brown Devil scouting office better find out, because this young man has turned what should have been a cakewalk into a cake nightmare.
Hey, buddy!
We're joined now by one of the Lady Brown Devils, Beth Nutterman. Beth, what's going on here tonight?
I don't know, Bert. Us girls did our part, but the guys are having a heck of a time out there.
Do you know anything about this new kid, Lovington?
I don't know nothing about him, and I don't care nothing about him. All I care is about him.
Sure, Nutterman.
Who said that? Who's the jerk?
Over here, baby doll. Thanks, Toots.
That crummy bum?
A colorful crowd here tonight and every night at the Armory. Great skating tonight, Beth.
Thanks, Bert. Oh, you keep your hands off the merchandise, Larry.
Remember, skate fans, we can't possibly show you everything on TV, so come on down, grab a Pluto, and experience the Derby live. Plenty of good seats every time.
Thing. And the story is that this young guy, oh, I've got to get to my place here. This young guy played
Jack
by,
Lovington.
pardon me?
His name is Jack.
His name is Jack, played by Patch Darragh, who was
Right.
Tom in The Last Glass Menagerie. And they all have these great Brooklyn accents. And he's a D's, Dem, and Do's guy who runs 2 jobs, drives a cab, and does something else. I forget, delivers papers or something. And he has a girlfriend. Every time he mentions his girlfriend's name, everybody goes, "Ah!" So you get the impression that she's not very attractive, but he thinks she's beautiful. And he wants to support her in the way he thinks that she ought to be supported. So he finds out that he's really good at skating. And he figures maybe he can get into this new sport of roller derby and you can make money. And he gets enticed into it. And it's a low rent Rocky. I mean, it's not even, and Rocky was pretty low rent. So, you know, and he succeeds. It's the first thing he's ever done that he succeeds at. He goes to his priest. Very funny thing. He's a good Catholic boy, a Polish Catholic boy. No, I forget what his. No, it doesn't matter.
He's Catholic.
But the priest is Polish, and Father Kosciuszko, and he goes to the priest, and they have this funny confession, and anyway. I had such a good time. I walked out really feeling it was clever. I enjoyed the story.
You did?
I did. I love the pop-up cartoon.
Okay.
You're going to say the bad things that you didn't like now. Okay.
I feel like strapping on a couple of skates and just plowing
Okay, I'm
through.
glad you finished that
For
sentence.
one
Go on.
thing, roller derby is about as believable as pro wrestling, and maybe not even. So you have this, and you have cardboard cutouts. So here you have something that's not
Yeah.
believable to begin with, And this is a play that cannot decide whether it wants to be a joke, which roller derby kind of is, or it wants to be a serious play. It's not a low-rent Rocky, it's a low-rent Golden Boy, except that the guy, yeah, he's successful skating, but he never makes any money, and he gives up everything to be in the roller derby, but he never gets anything out of it except, I think, for a couple of sexually transmitted diseases.
You are looking for the wrong things in this play. It's not Golden Boy. Golden Boy was a serious play.
You're telling me.
And The Jammer is not. It's a satire.
Well, is it? Well, the problem is it's not a very good satire because I thought it was a satire when they're holding up a cardboard character and calling her big bucks.
Right.
Excuse me, big tickets.
Right.
All right, that's satire. But then it looks like they're trying to be serious with the relationship with this guy and his girlfriend, who we see at the end, and you hear, oh, she's ugly. She actually the actresses all play multiple roles, but they don't do anything to make her look as her picture would suggest.
Not. That's the whole point.
Well, everybody says she is, except
I know.
But the bottom line is, it's just I couldn't decide whether I should be laughing or whether I should be crying or whether it was dramatic. In fact, the only storyline that really caught me was a very minuscule subplot involving the priest, very nicely played by Todd Weeks. And by the way, except for the leading character, all of them play. The two leading characters, most of them play multiple roles.
Right.
And his neighborhood is turning Hispanic, so they assign a Hispanic priest who doesn't speak English to his parish, and this guy is taking over, not maliciously, it's just he's starting to attract an audience, and this poor priest, a very devoted man, finds himself kind of losing his flock. And that was a very small part of the play, but you know what? That was the part that I thought a lot more interesting than this guy having to go, let me finish, to the doctor's office and have his private parts treated with a soldering iron because he had this one-night stand with one of the female players, which was set up by the guy who's running the whole show. And let's talk about that. Billy Eugene Jones as Lenny. Now here's where colorblind casting gets very confusing, because Billy Jones is black.
Right.
You think that a guy running a TV series on roller derby in the 50s would probably be white. But then the guy gives his real name at the end. He says it's Robinson, so maybe he's like Jackie Robinson. So I'm confused. Is the guy supposed to be black, or is he not?
You know what? I don't think that had anything to do with the play at all. This is where you brought this to it.
But this confuses me. And it means that I wasn't really paying much attention to the play.
Exactly.
Because it wasn't a really good play.
No, not at all. It's not because it's not a good play. It's because for whatever reason.
So it's my fault.
No, it's for whatever reason it didn't get to you. I didn't say you didn't get it. I said it didn't get to you.
That is
Charlie,
correct.
we go to the theater 5-6 times a week, and this happens over and over and over again. You're going to talk about another play that I absolutely adore, that I cried. I was just amazed at how beautiful it is. And I think you probably agree.
Advertisers for Asher Lave, are you listening?
Yeah.
Boy, that was a great quote.
I'm about ready to let you do that one.
Okay.
But this one made me happy in a very different way than that. If we don't have to agree on everything,
and we're not going to agree on this.
But Charlie, because you don't like it doesn't make it not a good play.
And because you do like it doesn't make it a good play.
This play got fabulous reviews. I would have loved to have written it, not from you. You didn't like it. I think everybody's gotten that, but I did, and it's a really good play.
And you're entitled to.
It's a really good play. It ended last week. I'm sorry to say you can't go out and find out for yourself, but it's a terrific play. I hope that it gets done in the provinces. I hope it gets done on the road. It deserves to be seen. It's fun.
Away from
you, yes.
A quote I will tell you. I will tell you a quick story.
No, we don't have time for a quick story.
Oh yes, we do.
No, we don't.
I'm going to tell you. I came into the theater and I fell down. Well, I think the audience thought it was part of the show because as I walked to my seat, they applauded me.
For getting up.
Yeah.
Well, I would do that.
So I took a bow.
Charlie, I used to act and I once fell off the stage. We were doing. It was dinner theater. The stage was about the size of this table, and I took a step in the wrong direction. Did the
band catch you?
And they applauded when I got back up on the stage.
Did the band catch you?
There was no band. It wasn't a musical.
No, it's interesting because I was reading Richard Rodgers' biography, and apparently that happened to an actress.
Yeah.
The orchestra recorder bounced her right back on
that's
stage.
nice.
She didn't miss a beat.
No, I had to get up all by myself.
Asher Lave. Now, I'm going to talk about this. And Leslie said she liked the play.
I'm going to talk about it too.
You like this play.
I love this
you
play.
You know what?
I loved it.
She has reason to love this play. This is a really incredibly good play. This is based on the Chaim Potok novel. He also wrote The Chosen, and it was adapted, let's see, by...
Aaron Posner.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Aaron Posner.
And directed by Gordon...
Gordon Edelstein, who's
very good.
Edelstein, who's the direction, the sound, the lighting, the set, unbelievable. Everything just right. And I unfortunately read today that they're thinking about it for Broadway, and it's the wrong thing to do. It's a tiny play. It's an intimate play. It's in a perfect place. It could run forever where it is. They could make their money back on letting it run. You know, volume, is that the old joke? Instead of, I mean, don't move it to Broadway.
Am I finished yet?
No.
Okay, just checking. Anyway, this is, as I said, based on the Chaim Potok novel. It's about a young Orthodox Jewish boy. He's in, I guess you could say, an ultra-Orthodox neighborhood. It kind of reminds me of Lubavitch.
Except they're
and he
Hasidic.
wants to be there. Well, they're
They're Hasidic.
I don't know if they're
It
Hasidic.
says. It says.
Oh, okay, they are then. And he wants to be an artist. And he is good and he is talented.
Starting at the age of 4 or 5.
Right.
It's a very little boy.
The problem is that a lot of his art is in conflict with his religion. And the interesting thing is he wants to remain religious. He wants to keep kosher. He wants to be Sabbath and maintain the lifestyle. And so he finds himself very, very conflicted with his parents and, you know, to a lesser extent with the Grand Rabbi of his sect. And what is so amazing about this production is how well it's balanced. Because normally when you have religion versus art, it's generally skewed toward the art. It's saying, oh, religion, it's dumb, it's repressive, it's this. And here everything is so beautifully balanced. And partially, in many ways, I think because the same actors who are playing the parents and, you know, are also playing the artist.
Well, there are only 3 characters.
Who mentors him.
There
Well,
are
no,
only
there are only
3
3
actors.
actors.
Only 3 actors.
So Ari Brand is Usher Lave.
Yes.
He just plays Usher, but Mark Nelson, Jenny Bacon, like Jenny Bacon is his mother. This is a very pious and modest woman, but she also comes on briefly as a nude model.
And she also comes on as a very sophisticated art dealer.
Right.
So she plays those roles very, very well. And very
Mark
believably.
Nelson, yeah, absolutely,
Mark
comes on as the Grand Rabbi, but also as the mentor.
And the father.
Yes, and the father, the artistic mentor, I should say.
Yes.
And
Jacob.
the interesting thing is the mentor is introduced to Usher by the rabbi.
Yes, but he is an atheist, and he is the antithesis of anyone else in the play.
Right.
And he says, if I take you on, I will take you on. And this, that the thing that we didn't talk about is the thing that's so it's so sweetly off for poor Usher is that he goes to the museum and he sees crucifixion paintings.
Yes.
And we know in the Met there are room after crucifixion paintings. And he comes home and he paints a crucifixion. That's what drives his parents crazy. From there, of course, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to nudes. I mean, obviously.
Well, but even he doesn't. You know, the nudes are actually part of his training. Right. He really doesn't. That he'll do it, but that's not what he's interested. But the crucifixion fascinates him, and he ends up painting more, and he is renowned in the artistic community, but ultimately he is, I don't want to say banished, but he is saying, the rabbi says, look, you can't be a part of our community anymore. And he may be a part of a different Jewish community. He's still a religious Jew at the end, which I find fascinating, but he is separated from the lifestyle that he grew up. Now, the thing is, though, what's interesting here is the conflict between art and religion, and I'm often wondering, because I know a prominent artist who is also a religious Jew, basically his mentor says, look, you can paint, candle boxes with stars on them, or you could paint. Right. And I would have to disagree with that. I mean, very often artists will use their art as an excuse, let me finish, for everything. Woody Allen says, oh, I'm an artist, that's why I ended up marrying my stepdaughter. But here, everything here, it's more interesting because it is about the art. And if I were to sit down with his mentor, I would say, I think you've got it wrong. You don't have to paint crucifixes. There is more of a balance that you can strike. But of course, if he struck that balance, then we wouldn't have a play.
Well, but I'm curious about something. I mean, is Marc Chagall religious?
The playwright?
No, Marc Chagall, the painter.
The painter?
The painter with the flying cows and the kissing people flying in the air.
No idea.
I don't know if he is either, but I know that he's painted windows for religious houses, and I don't know that they're all Jewish. The places that the windows, and I know that he did the windows at the Met, for example.
Right, which is not necessarily a problem.
No, but I mean, and you get the feeling that his kind of art, that Asher Leb's art, from the description of it, because it has a fantasy side to it, is more or less like a Marc Chagall or someone like that, and that may have been intentional. All I know is that this is such a perfect little play, and everything is right about it. The lighting, the music, there is a slight, the sound.
The acting.
The acting is just lovely. And they're changing it. Jenny is leaving.
And the balance.
They're extending it. It is running.
And the balance, which is what I loved about it.
Between the two things. But it is running. Alana Levine is taking over the roles that Jenny Bacon has played. I'm just, as I say, so frightened of moving this play. We have seen play after play move from a small space to Broadway and fail. And it fails because it's a small
You lose
play.
the intimacy.
The intimacy, the audience may be limited. I'm not sure with this play. I think that this play could be seen by anyone and understood because, as you say, the balance is there. But is it a play for a large house? There are intimate moments where people speak softly. You know, and in a big house, it's very hard to speak softly and really be heard. So all I know is it's my favorite play of the season. I mean, I love The Jammer for other reasons, but this is my favorite play so far this season.
And you will give it?
Oh, 6.
Well, I'll go with 4.5.
Okay, no, I really loved it. We also had to judge it for the Callaway, and I also went over the moon about it. I really, really loved it.
Okay.
Everybody. I want to say a word about Mark Nelson, who's actually happens to be a friend. Mark is one of the journeyman actors.
Who played the male actor?
He's the father.
Who played all the male roles except for Usher.
He's the father, the Rebbe, the
mentor.
artist, the mentor, that Jacob. And Mark has also played. I think he played Sigmund Freud. He's been in so many plays. If you read his credits, they just go on for days. Mark is what you call a journeyman actor. He always works. He's always wonderful. And here he is beyond wonderful. Because they're all so good. I mean, everybody just shines in so many ways. There are going to be awards for this show. There are going to be Obies. It's not a Broadway show. There won't be Tonys. I'm sure there'll be
Well, if
Drama
they move it to Broadway, there might be.
Well, I see Callaway.
But I do agree with you that this is an intimate show, and they're in a decent sized theater.
They're in a lovely space.
I would say just make it the next Fantastics or the Mousetrap.
This is my point.
And just let it run for 50 years.
Let it run for $55 a ticket, and people will go see it. And you can make your money back that way. I mean, actors get stuck because then they have to make minimum.
We have a few minutes left, so I'd like to talk about $55 tickets.
Okay, fine.
Now, theater is not cheap.
No.
There are many ways to avoid the high costs.
We've talked about that.
Yes. And for example, like in Jammers, it may not be running anymore, but if they have like last minute tickets. So if you show up at the theater like a half hour before curtain time and they have a few theater tickets left, they will sell them to you for like $20, which I think is less than $55.
Which is what they do in England. They've been doing that for 50 years in England.
And of course, there's the TKTS booth, which sells tickets for half price. Of course, when a ticket's going for $300, I don't know if $150 is such a bargain, but...
And on the back of this, pick any 3 plays for $139 if you buy a subscription to some of these places.
Yeah, but that would actually be more.
5 into 130 is not
I know, but if you check the price for the actual ticket, if you check the price for the actual tickets, you're paying more. Shh, don't tell anyone.
Okay.
Some theaters may still have standing room, which
Broadway
not too many, but Broadway is a lot.
Yeah.
So and of course there are many organizations.
Theater Mania, Playbill Online, and Broadway.world.com all have specials. You go to their site and you can find a special. They also sell you tickets.
If you go to the theater often, it's worth going on the internet and researching these things. And when you go to the theater, look for Leslie and me.
Us two on the aisle.
Yes.